Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at the XTool 5DS. It's a proper diagnostic scan tool for most manufacturers, and if you have a modern car like this Smart 4.2 Passion that I'm sitting in, you absolutely need your own scan tool, and you're going to save thousands more than what you paid for it in not having to go to the dealers to diagnose the car and to do some basic bidirectional settings, etc. So in the box you get this tablet-based scan tool with the OBD2 cable, and we're going to plug it into the smart car now and have a look at how it works. Now you're going to have to go and sit back there. I'm going to first plug in this OBD2. It's a generic OBD2 plug. It's always under the driver's seat somewhere, and then the other end goes into the scan tool. And switch it on. I'm going to also switch on the ignition, because in order to read everything you usually have to have the ignition at the on position. Phew, it's humid, so I'm sweating like a pig. Okay, so it switched on pretty quickly. Let's do an auto scan and see what it picks up. I've already downloaded the smart specific software for this car, and the nice thing about this XTool and the D5S is if you buy it, you get a lifetime free updates, as far as I understand from the website. So we're doing auto scan. On some of these scan tools you have to type in the VIN manually, but let's see if it picks up the VIN automatically. There it has the VIN number, Smart 4.2. I'm going to do an automatic scan. I heard a click there from the computer in the car. So it scanned the ESP control unit, the engine control unit, the sprint shift control module, that's the automated manual gearbox, and then the restraint system. So let's see this ESP control system. There's one fault there, C1323, fault in CAN communication with control unit, sprint shift control module. We can click into that. I don't think we can. Clear all DTCs. Let's see if we rescan it, if it comes back. Now I have to say the smart car stood for 3 years before I bought it, and then it stood for a couple of months again without the battery connected. So there would have been a few codes. I have already cleared a few. So now that ESP, the fault is gone. Read DTC, and it's gone. So it's nice for reading fault codes, that's one thing. Another thing, if we go to system selection, you can select any of these systems. So let's select that ESP control unit and then look at live data. So we have voltage at control unit, test stand mode. Let's see what that is, not active. So this is smart specific wheel speeds. So I'm going to start the car. And let's take it for a drive and see what the wheel speeds does. Because the thing is, checking for fault codes is one thing, but say there's a fault code on, for instance, your ABS system or the stability program, the traction control. It could be something simple like a wheel speed sensor, which is not an expensive part on most cars. And by looking at all four wheel speeds individually, you can see if there's one that is out of whack. So currently I can see they're all showing 20 kilometers per hour, all four corners. So I know all four wheel speed sensors are working, and I also know the computer is reading it correctly. So that is where the live data is super helpful. We can click on sensors, and there it shows longitudinal acceleration, lateral acceleration, and I can see that the values change the lateral acceleration when I turn the steering wheel. Steering angle as well. There we have 4 degrees, 1 degree, 20 degrees, 60 degrees. There's a yaw rate sensor, brake pressure. It goes up to 30 bars when I press it. Now it's 6. Let me just make the beeping go away. That's modern cars for you. So the brake pressure, for instance, is 0.6 bars, 0.3 bars, 30 bars. So it works well. Stop lamp not operated. I press on the brake pedal, it says operated. So I know the brake light's working or the circuit is fine. Brake light switch not operated while I'm accelerating. I'm gonna press on the brakes, operated. Handbrake switch not operated. Pull it slightly, it says operated. So brake fluid level, okay. And let me just switch gears. So that's all the sensors just on the ESP control module. Hydraulic unit, this is still in the ESP control module. Status valve relay open, left front wheel inlet valve close. I assume that will only change if the ESP is activated. Okay, I'm going into the engine control module now. Live data. And there we've got a whole bunch of stuff that you can read. Engine sensors, Lambda control, electronic accelerator, self-adaptation for mixture formation. What's that? Shows my engine speed. Ooh, I lost contact. Something happened now and it lost contact. Okay, on the engine sensors, it shows battery voltage. It fluctuates. I assume it's got a smart alternator. It says now 12.3 volts. Press the accelerator. Ooh, it's still only 12 volts. That sounds like a problem with the alternator. Battery voltage. It stays around 12, 12.1, 12.2. That's a problem. It's almost like the alternator is not charging. Eesh, I'll have to check that out. Now that's not something where there's an engine fault code. I just see the voltage is not, it should be above 13 at least. It shows the engine speed, engine oil temperature, 99 degrees Celsius. Seems a bit high. Intake air 50 degrees. That's there in the rear of the engine bay. Engine coolant temperature, oh, 91 degrees. That's not too bad. Boost pressure, almost a bar. Intake manifold pressure, atmospheric pressure, injection time, ambient temperature 28, but the humidity is insane. That's why I'm sweating like a pig. If I click on Lambda control, so that's has to do with the O2 sensors and the air fuel mixture. So if we look at the upstream O2 sensor, it's fluctuating between 0.1 and 0.9 volts, and that's exactly what you want to see if it operates properly. The second one, the O2 sensor downstream after the catalytic converter, is about 0.7 volts. That's fine. There's a control value that should be around 1. That is if the air fuel mixture is just right, 14.7 to 1. Air to fuel based on volume, and currently it's around 0.1. Let's see if there's a graph. Yes, if you can see there's a graph there, and that's the air fuel ratio. So if that goes above 1, I think it's rich, and below 1 it's lean, I think, or the other way around. Exhaust temperature upstream, 475 degrees Celsius. It seems very high, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But that is just for the Lambda control live data for the engine. Camshaft positioning sensor. So again, these are things you can use to diagnose if the car won't start. You can check if it's picking up any of the sensor values. So I don't know how all of this works, and I'm determined to find out as I live with a smart car, but without a scan tool like this, you're just guessing. The car won't start and you don't have any clue where to go and look or whether anything is out of the parameters. So anyways, if you want to find out more about this scan tool, please let me know and I can make more videos on it, and then I'll post a link in the description where you can buy this for the best price that I can currently find. and I'm not getting reverse again. I am going to have to take the clutch actuator out to see why the reverse is not, so because there's no fault codes at the moment, and sometimes I can hit reverse and sometimes I can't. I'm actually just freeing now. I'm gonna have to push it in. Almost. Ha! Reverse! There's a terrible sound coming from the rear exhaust. Well, the exhaust, it's in the rear.